Hello, my loves. Today we're talking about 13 habits that my rich and happy friends have that my poor, broke, unhappy, frustrated, angry friends do not. And for each of these 13 points, I'm sharing a book. So 13 books that have helped me understand these points and come to these conclusions. So this is going to be a great list of reading for those of you who want to level up your money mindset, your happiness, level up your life, basically. See, I'm talking about this. It's different than historically what I've made videos about, but I think that this is helpful for many people because who doesn't want to be happy and rich? I mean, come on. I don't know who would say, no, that sounds horrible. Most people say that they want that, but I've also found that it's very, very few people who actually take action to be those things, happy and rich. Most people think it's impossible. It's some kind of fallacy or lie that you can become like the person you want to be. But what I've learned through reading these books that I'm going to share with you, and you can find them in the link in the description. I've made a list of them on my website that you can just take a look at all of them really easily and decide which ones you might want to read, which ones might be helpful. But you know, the older that I get, I realize that there are some clear differences between my friends who are happy with their lives and successful, whatever their definition of successful is, which often does include successful with money, because let's be honest, money is a tool to be able to do the things in life that you want to do. And so it's not just about having money, it's about being able to use that to have the lifestyle you want, to give back to organizations that you care about, and to prioritize your values. Maybe they're experiences, maybe they are beauty, so you want to invest in some art that you enjoy, maybe learning, so you want to invest in courses. Whatever it may be, money is just a tool. So I've noticed some clear differences between my friends who are happy with their lives and successful and those who are not. And at this point in life, I feel like it's not too late to change. And so I wanted to bring this topic here to you. I hope that you find it helpful. You know, it's not historically what I've made videos about, but I think this is an important message. I talk about these topics a lot in my personal life with my friends, and well, I hope that this important message is helpful to you and you enjoy it. So tell me in the comments what you liked or didn't like about this, and if you have any other points that you would add to this video. Our very first point has to do with boundaries. Clear boundaries are something that my happy, rich, successful friends have. They don't always try to make everyone happy, and they realize that, in fact, you never can make everyone happy because different people want different things from you and in life, so they have boundaries. And while my broke and sad friends are trying to make everyone happy, which is actually impossible, my happy and rich friends have boundaries based on what they value in life. So to get clear on your values and what you want to focus on in life, how you want to use your time, and where your boundaries are, I highly recommend the book called Boundaries by Henry Cloud. This book will truly help you if you feel overwhelmed, stretched in too many directions, just spread thin, trying to make everyone happy, trying to be the best, the most to everyone, and help you to start being the best to yourself, self-care, and making boundaries around how you spend your time with others and for yourself. So this is number one of importance. Kind of related to this, the second point is instead of just going along with what others want you to do, instead of waiting for others to say, hey, let's do this today, or to do what you think your family or friends or colleagues expect of you, successful people actively vision or envision the life that they want, whether that's years from now or days from now, or simply just how today will look. So there's a book I really enjoyed reading a few years ago called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. It has kind of a cult following in a good way. And I highly recommend that you read this. I don't want to go too much into it, but there's some really, really good points in it. And it will show you how to easily and quickly follow. It's an acronym called SAVOR that includes, the V is for vision, visualization. It's a hard word to say, that will just in a few minutes a day help you to really create the life that you want. Because if you don't plan your life, someone else will, as they say. It is true. Next, happy, successful, rich people tend to buy time or experiences or free time instead of things, outer visible signs of wealth. So I'm sure we can find exceptions to this. There always are. However, it's often the people who invest their money in invisible things like stocks, index funds, mutual funds, bonds, etc., or real estate, which is, I realize it's visible, but it's not like something that you wear to be showy, to say, oh, look at my, designer outfit, I am so rich. No, people who are truly rich are often more subtle and spend money in investments that buy back their time. So I just listened to an audiobook, which also is in print form if you prefer that, but I've been training for a marathon and I have a lot of hours to cover in the gym. So I've been listening to audiobooks, and I love this one called Start Thinking Rich. It is 21 truths that are difficult for many to hear, but I just love this book because I agree with it so much. I'm actually listening to it the second time around. It takes about 8 hours to listen to, and like I said, I've been spending a lot of time in the gym. Here's a simple one that a lot of people overlook. So a lot of my friends who aren't really happy with their lives tend to default to spending their free time watching TV, Netflix, or movies. Now, don't get me wrong. I can enjoy a great Netflix series, a great movie, but it's not my default. I prefer to look at Netflix or a movie as a special treat, maybe something I do once or twice a month. It is not, well, I have free time, better turn on the TV. I cannot stand doing that by default because to me, it feels like eating ice cream every single day. Like, it's not going to be helpful for my overall health. Now, I'm not anti-ice cream, I'm not anti-Netflix, but it is not the default for my rich and happy friends. So instead of having habits that are really not like active, proactive, constructive, learning, or edifying habits, let's say, a lot of my friends who are just not that happy with their lives are doing things like just defaulting to watching whatever's on TV. So to improve your default habits, I highly recommend the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. This has been a huge hit success book, and I think it could help you to start making those small decisions like, should I turn on the TV or should I read a book? And so, yeah, this is a good one. If you start with this one, I think it will change your life drastically. It's the little choices every day that really add up to changing our lives to be the ones that we want to have. Speaking of defaults after work, a lot of people end up at a happy hour or just drinking at home after work. And instead of being like something used to celebrate and enjoy life, which alcohol could be a part of celebrations or social gatherings, it's more of a self-medicating habit, which is not so positive. If you're using alcoholic beverages to forget about your day because you hate your job or you hate your life, this is not really a positive thing. So I want to recommend when you have time to think about what you're putting into your body, there's a cookbook that came out from another YouTuber that I think looks really awesome. It's called Big Vegan Flavor. And so often making that switch from self-medicating with food or beverages that are not really good for you in excess to switching to real food and real drinks. I just juiced a bunch of carrots this morning. That's why this makes me think of this book, Big Vegan Flavor by Nisha Vora. Again, the links to all of these books are in the description and the pinned comment. Another thing I've noticed that my successful friends do is instead of feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed by their to-do list and just kind of like not actually doing any of it day after day. They divide and conquer. So they learn how to be more productive, whether that's by blocking their time, using a calendar, or maybe prioritizing their to-do list. I learned how to do this better after reading a book called Ninja Productivity. I love this book. It changed my life because it helped me to go from overwhelmed with a lot of thoughts and things I wanted to do in my head, just like swirling around, not sure how to approach them, to making them concrete, organizing them, and then approaching them in a way where I could start crossing off things from my to-do list. And that really improved my life. So I hope this is helpful for you. I highly recommend this Productivity Ninja book by Graham Alcott. All right, next, instead of just hanging out on the weekend, my successful friends actively plan their time off. So they may be visiting family, visiting friends in another state, or planning a trip, maybe hiking in Iceland, or something that is on their bucket list. First of all, they have a bucket list, so they spend time thinking about what are those experiences and achievements that they want to say, hey, I did that. And they don't wait for the perfect time to do that. So they actively plan enriching experiences. A book that I recommend for this is Plan a Future That Sets You Free by Laura Spadetto. Plan a future that sets you free. This is up to you. And you know what? Planning in and of itself, it doesn't cost anything. In fact, all of these things that I've mentioned, they're just mindset and habit shifts. And that doesn't in and of itself cost you anything and can really help you to have a happier, richer life. Speaking of mindset, instead of just by default spending time with family or high school friends, my happy friends actively seek out members of their mindset tribe. That's just kind of a term I just came up with, but they actively seek out people who have a similar mindset, a growth mindset. And I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but Growth Mindset is one of my favorite books. That's coming up in 2 more points. But the first book that I want to recommend on mindset, one of my favorites. It's short, pretty easy to read. It's called Don't Believe Everything You Think. But even though it's short and easy to read, it's still mind-blowing. And that is by Joseph Wynn. Now, let's talk about delayed gratification, because there's a study, right, about the kids and the marshmallows, and the kid who chose to wait and not eat the marshmallow grew up and became like more successful. I think that's how the study went. But instead of doing what makes them feel good in the moment, instant gratification, people who are generally happier and richer know how to be disciplined in the moment for long-term success. And they think in the long term, they think about what will their tomorrow selves, or what will myself a week, a month, a year, a decade from now be so grateful looking back and seeing how I decided to live my life today. Does that make sense? So they develop the discipline to do hard things now so that tomorrow will be better for them and their families. A good book on this is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. So that is not just about having discipline. There's a lot of books that I love about that. In fact, one is called Extreme Ownership. I'm going to add an extra book in on this point because I like Ramit Sethi's book on the financial side of things, but when we're talking about discipline and responsibility and taking ownership, Jocko Willnick's book, Extreme Ownership, was also life-changing for me. Another one that I listened to on audiobook, and his voice is great on that. I loved listening to that on a long road trip across the country. Okay, so next on mindset, instead of assumptions or biases about the world, like the system is rigged, everything is against me because I'm X, Y, and Z. No, people who are happy and successful keep an open mind and question things. So yes, I will admit, sometimes life is not fair. Sometimes things do seem rigged, but don't assume that you're not going to be able to live the life you want because of this. So for this point, I want to recommend Growth Mindset. Carol Dweck, the author, asks us to think about not can I or can't I do something, but how could I do something? And so she notes that children who have this mindset of how, or let me try another way instead of, well, this first attempt didn't work. Everything must be rigged and set up against me. I shouldn't even try. So it's the mindset of resilience and just thinking creatively outside the box, right? When I was growing up, if I didn't get something right the first time, my mom would say to me, what's another way? Try another way. And I think that was so helpful. And that was before Carol Dweck's book, but it's a similar idea. Instead of a defeatist attitude, just assuming that the world is working against you, people who are happy and rich are thinking that, hey, wow, the world is really working out for me. And, yes, there's certain people that may have more entitlements or a leg up in life, but I'm talking about everyone. Happiness and richness from a standpoint of not being born with a silver spoon in your mouth, but having to figure it out in life. And so a great book for this is Millionaire Mindset by Harv Eker. So it really helps to show us how to make those little tweaks in our mindset to start thinking like the rich, even if we weren't born rich. Next, speaking of rich people, there's a huge bias against them, and a lot of people who didn't grow up rich or weren't born in a rich family enjoy making fun of people with money. And I hate to admit this, but when I was a teenager, I was the same way. Ooh, look at them. They're so bougie. Making fun of people who pay $200 for a t-shirt. But here's the thing. When you do that, you are saying that having money or spending money is bad or something to be made fun of. And so that's creating negative biases in your subconscious against having money. So people who are rich and happy actually compliment those who have money and seek to figure out how to achieve these things for themselves. So a good book for this is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is a true classic, a must read. Finally, instead of waiting to enjoy life, they're like, let me just work really hard until I'm 65 and then I'll finally have time to travel or golf or whatever. Yeah, and you might have a bad hip and back because you've been sitting in an office chair for the last 40 years. So people who are rich and happy are figuring out how to have kind of this like retirement lifestyle, like not entirely retired, but there's a movement, the Financial Independence Retire Early FIRE movement, that talks about taking time while you are young and active to experience something like retirement. Now, this is another huge topic, retiring early, financial independence, and I'm sure we will dive into those if you want to. I think I want to. But a good book for this and a great FIRE movement book is Your Money or Your Life, a classic by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. So this book was written decades ago, but it still applies, and it's a backbone of the FIRE movement. So the idea is, life is short. Sometimes you need to eat dessert first, because if you wait to enjoy life, if you like doing active things, if you like traveling, it just isn't going to be the same when you're 65 as when you're 25 or even 45. So if you are 45, it's not too late. If you are 65, it's not too late. But the idea is that we need to enjoy life in the moment. There has to be a balance between being really disciplined, doing things with the long term in mind, and enjoying your life in the moment. And so these books, I think, will teach us how to strike that balance, to enjoy our everyday life, and to be richer and happier. So I hope that this was helpful. Again, the link with all of these books that I mentioned is in the description and the pinned comments. So I hope that you enjoy it. Leave me a comment. Let me know if I left anything out or what you think of this topic. And I wish you so much wealth and happiness and success in life. Thank you for watching, and bye for now. And by the way, I forgot to say my name is Gabby Wallace. You can check out my new content at gabbywallace.com. That is also where you will find the list of my recommended books, gabbywallace.com/13 rich habits. I'll see you there with the list of all of these books.